Hello everyone, welcome back to a new technology moment. I'm Alan and I'm very glad to be here sharing with all of you the experience that we had using and testing this equipment from HP Networking Instant On line of products. We have really liked them, by the way, from previous experiences. Basically, that is the reason why we're here in this new video, in which the main aspect to highlight is how easy integration between Instant On devices is and how company-wide deployments couldn't get any easier. Today we're going to be talking about the two main components of a Wi-Fi deployment, in this case a Wi-Fi 6 deployment, and those are the switch, a power over Ethernet switch of course, and the access point. As for cabling, just stick to certified copper cable. Keep away from CCA. We have seen in previous videos the main characteristics of each, but we'll review them very fast in a few moments. Very quickly right here what to expect from this video. First, we're going to be reviewing such characteristics of each of the clients that we're going to use in this video, and we're going to be mentioning what we consider to be most relevant considerations for deployment and integration of a Wi-Fi solution. Second, we're going to be implementing such integration, and you're going to be able to see how easy and fast you can not only create new Wi-Fi deployments, but it will also see how easy you can make changes through your company, no matter how many clients, 10, 100, or 500. And finally, we're going to give our conclusions and what we observed is worth highlighting, and of course things that we should expect in the future from Instant On devices. So right to the point, what we have right here on top of our desktop is what we consider to be the perfect combination for robust Wi-Fi 6 deployments. Let me tell you why. And of course, if you have any comments or you consider that we forgot something to mention, you will be more than welcome to leave that in the comment section. First, about the switch, it is just fantastic. We're talking about the Instant On 1930 24 gigabit per second port switch with 4 SFP plus module, with a total power budget of 370 watts. Fantastic. This is, by the way, the power capacity you'll find in the 48 port switch. Let's remember that it is a class 4 PoE switch, meaning that you'll be able to draw 30 watts of power per port and 370 combined. About the noise, it is as quiet as a PoE switch can get. We like that aspect very much, and many of you may welcome that feature in this switch. So why do we think that this switch is outstanding? Well, besides having what any other business class robust switch can offer, like spanning tree, layer 2 plus management, VLANs, storm control, port isolation, port and cable testing, the fantastic link aggregation, and more, the network geometry configuration of the switch is what today's businesses are all about. This means having 24 gigabit per second PoE plus ports that can converge into any of its 10 gigabit per second SFP plus ports, either on a single link, already being more than enough, or into a link aggregated, even more robust network backbone. Extraordinary for bigger businesses. That is, by the way, something that we had been talking about in the past, about how we should be able to choose switches with more than just two 10 gigabit per second uplinks. As you can see right here, this lets us approach solutions for small businesses with a few wire clients and a few access points serving 20, 30 devices to much more complex scenarios. Now about the access points. We're using this unit, the AP21, the smallest of the family, just as an example of what you can do having 1, 2, or 20 access points. The procedure is going to be exactly the same, and the performance is going to be according to the model that you choose from. For example, as we said in the unit dedicated to this access point, this one is the smallest of the family. And even being the smallest of the family, yet we found it to be very interesting in terms not only of performance, but in terms of coverage. Another example of the variety of solutions that we can deploy. All of its features can be quickly adjusted from the Instant On portal, as we saw in one of our latest videos. We said at the time that these are access points that do not have a high power consumption, due to the fact that they are not the most powerful, as you can see right here from the report of its power consumption. You could deploy the 24 access points connected to this switch and still be well below the capabilities of this switch, letting you, of course, deploy much more powerful access points in the places that you need them most. At this point, you should consider that this switch is going to be limiting the most powerful access points to 1 gigabit per second to the wired connection. So if you choose Wi-Fi 6E access points like the AP32 or the 4x4 Wi-Fi 6 AP like the AP25, you should also consider involving one of the switches capable of handling a higher networking speed. These are access points that have a wired uplink of 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. We'll leave you the links in the description of this video so you can choose the device that fits your needs. This, of course, so you can make your deployment future-proof. For now, we can tell you that powerful Wi-Fi 6 deployments like this one, being able to handle more than 1,000 users with AP21s, is absolutely doable with these two devices, this switch and these access points. So how do we implement an instant on solution? If you're new to instant on, you should have no worries about having to learn a whole bunch of concepts, as the system is going to be implementing most of them for you. That is exactly why these solutions are becoming more and more popular every day. Ease of use, affordability, and implementation is very fast. The first thing that you need to do is create an account at the Instant On portal. You will be prompted to create a new site. At your first device, as you can see right here, you will be guided through the process very easily. Right here, we just added our first switch, and then we're going to be adding the access point. The order is actually not relevant. If we were to have more access points, they would appear here in the topology. You're going to be able to do this in various ways, depending, of course, on the devices that you already have running on your network. And you might have to type the device's serial number, and it will tell you when it is ready. The only consideration right here is that every time that you add a new device, you make sure that they are successfully connected to a DHCP server and that they have internet access. If there are updates, like you can see right here, it may take a couple of minutes for this process to finish, and this is an unattended process that you make. In the meantime, you can download, for example, the Instant On app, which will let you have full control of your deployment from any mobile device in the world, being this a fantastic idea for network administrators that manage multiple businesses and can create, deploy, and maintain networks without much effort. More importantly, a lot of IT managers without great experience in these deployments are going to have a shot at creating powerful, secure, and scalable solutions. You can create networks before or after adding devices. They can be wired or wireless networks. You'll be able to configure them as if you were managing just one access point. It doesn't matter if you have 1 or 20 access points. You will just click on save, and changes are going to be replicated to all the devices that belong to that network. It's as simple as that. It is so easy to maintain that it will leave you time to create profiles for deeper configurations or restrictions, such as captive portals, for which you will have more options in the future, schedule for power over Ethernet devices, for wireless networks, network isolation, port access, access control, and much more is also going to be available. For this specific solution, if you were, for example, going to deploy 15 access points, all will be able to handle 1 gigabit per second to the switch and 1 gigabit per second through the radios. If you also, for example, had 5 or 7 wired 1 gigabit per second clients, as you can see in this graph, you could, with no trouble whatsoever, concentrate all that traffic through one single 10 gigabit per second uplink of this switch without creating the slightest bottleneck. On the other hand, if you were, for example, to have more clients simultaneously reading or writing from another powerful device connected to the switch, you can address that easily with these switches. Say, for example, you have 12 gigabit Ethernet wired computers and other 12 access points, all running at full speed and needing full network potential. Even though unlikely, it could create a saturated network, leading to many problems. You could handle easily such big loads by implementing link aggregation, another topic that we've analyzed in the past, and that with these switches is not only done in an easier manner, but also lets you create powerful network backbones, as you can see in this graph, to servers, NAS devices, or robust internet access without suffering from any bottleneck situation. Lastly, and not less important, as we've seen in recent videos, the scalability, or even better, the versatility that SFP ports imply have no match, letting you implement those 10 gigabit per second uplinks in copper or fiber, single or multi-mode. This will let you spread your devices among campuses a few hundred feet apart or even kilometers apart, allowing you, for example, to manage these type of networks just as easily. Okay, so our insights, conclusions, and considerations. Definitely the most important aspect to highlight of a solution like this one, having devices that are reliable and configurable, is exactly how easy it is to manage them. With the Instant On portal, we can achieve just that, having control of our devices in no time and having access to our whole networks as quickly as opening an app. We will try and have more networking devices from HP Networking Instant on and are waiting and eager to test their gateways in the future in our channel to see how we can benefit from implementing the complete vertical networking solution. Things to improve, of course, there are always going to be. The 24-hour limit for important statistics in the Instant On portal, we have repeatedly said that is something that can and most likely will be improved in the future. On the other hand, deployment of captive portals with vouchers or forms to collect client data are not available yet, and a few other minor aspects. For now, we hope that this video was as informative and as brief as intended, as we value your time, your huge support to us to continue creating all this great content. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Thanks for watching and see you next time.